5 big ones, everybody. My name's Adam Cook, and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast episode 500. I'm joined by Chris Hyde.
500, indeed. I like that. That's good. That's the emphasis we need, I think.
Maybe. I'm joined by Lyle Carr.
Yep, I'm here. I'm here for 500. We're all about 500 today.
Well, the truth of the matter, and I've said this many times on the podcast, right? This actually is not in number form. This is the 500th, the 500th podcast. It's the big birthday party for the podcast because, in case people weren't aware, every time a new podcast episode is live, that's the podcast's birthday. You see, because every time they have a episode, it's like a. Yeah, you with me?
Yeah.
And
100%.
so, although we've never counted the Game of the Year stuff, which is at least 5 episodes every year, at least, we've never counted the extra stuff, we've never counted the interviews, the spoiler cast, so we're actually probably near 6, but this is episode 500. It's also Mr. Chris Hyde's birthday, right now, as we're recording this. And I want to be absolutely clear.
So well.
I want to be absolutely clear about that, is that this was not a commitment he could have just... He could have said no, is what I'm saying.
No, this is the highlight of my day.
Well,
can I just say, I think it's well documented that Lyle is my nemesis, but I do have to have some appreciation. If you're watching this on video, the man is sporting the one and only shirt for me today, and he's undone the buttons as well, so I'm getting a bit of chest hair action. So I do appreciate the effort, Lyle. I appreciate that for my birthday.
Thank you very much. I mean, I don't get the shirt out that often, but when it's your birthday, I mean, how could I refuse, really?
I was going to wear a tie, and I genuinely couldn't find one. I was going to have to borrow my... I haven't worn a tie for so long. I know I own lots of ties, but I don't know where they are. My son, I was going to borrow one off him, and I was like, do you know what? For a joke that won't be that funny, I'm just going to leave it. Do you know what?
Great.
It's a better anecdote than if you
than an actual joke. I was going to just wear a t-shirt with a tie, and it looked so stupid, but it's like it wouldn't have been. It only works if it's on video, whereas the anecdote, as you say, is podcastable. It's a big one though. It is. I said it in the sort of description for this episode, and we'll talk. We'll get more sort of naval gazy later on, I suspect. But it is a big one, and if I did some research, I wonder if we would be one of certainly the UK's longest running podcasts in terms of gaming. But again, I'd have to check. It's been over 10 years. That's one thing I can say with absolute certainty. We've had weeks off here and then, and 2 weeks off now and again, or like Christmas, but it's got to be up there. It's got to be up there somewhere,
be, right?
Or even whether it's the most or the longest running. I don't know, but I do feel a sense of pride in it. And as trite as I'm going to get before we start talking about FIFA, fuck's sake, I do feel genuine sense of pride because it's the least work thing I do in my work, if that makes sense, because it's just chatting with my mates, and I love it. And I know podcasts now are, they're a dime a dozen. In fact, if you haven't got a celebrity on your podcast, no one's going to listen if they don't already. Like the charts and that, it used to be dominated. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, like the Ricky Gervais podcast used to be like number one, even though they hadn't done an episode for about 8 years. And now then all the celebrities do it. Like even fantasy football podcasts are dominated by celebrities or comedians. And the original thing with podcasts was just to have a chat with your mates about something you loved, and there was never any thought of monetization or anything like that. So it's kind of weird that we're still here, and I know the cast may have, well, I'm still there, I suppose, but I know the cast may have changed, and I will say right now before we get into it, thank you to anyone who's ever been on this podcast. The list would be too many. Like, to start listing a name, there would be too many, but it is cool to still be here and see where the future goes. But on that note, let's talk about some video games, and Chris Hyde, since it's your birthday, what have you been playing?
I have been playing FIFA 23.
Did you have to check then which year?
I'm old now, mate. This is a year older. No, FIFA 23. I mean, it is essentially FIFA 22. So I could have said that, but I mean, okay. So look, I will say.
Oh God, yeah, because of the mode you play. I was going to say.
Yes, I will say this. I've said this before. I really only play FIFA for pro clubs. A lot of my mates play pro clubs. They play a fair few evenings a week. You'd think with that much game time on any particular game, I'd be good. I like to defy logic in that sense and just maintain my shitness throughout multiple FIFAs. So I can only come at this from this is how pro clubs looks, and this is how the menus of Ultimate Team look, because that's about as far as I've got in that, which is very similar.
Very similar.
So there may be other things, like you say, other modes that are different.
Yeah.
I will say I played the closed beta of it, and that felt very slow.
Yes.
Like it felt almost like Pro Evo,
yes,
eFootball like pace, which I wasn't like averse to. I was like, I'm just going to have to rethink my thing. And actually, as an old man, I was like, actually, I might have more of a chance. If everyone's just slowing down a little bit, I might have a bit of a chance. So I was like, that's interesting. So we played that. But I don't know whether they definitely asked for feedback during that window, whatever, I don't know. But it now feels it's a little bit slower.
They definitely bumped it back up.
They definitely bumped it back up.
Like, so it's not as slow, but they've definitely bumped it back up. Like, I wouldn't say it was as fast as FIFA's ever been, but like it is definitely a slower game overall. But I think that's more to do with the pace changes than the actual overall, like the difference. Like, there's different kinds of sort of pace to characters now. Like, you got the explosive pace, or the people who are just generally sprint fast, and like you've got a bit of diversity there.
Yeah,
I do really like how it plays this year. Actually, I have to admit, I'm loath to admit it, if I'm honest, but I really like how it feels.
It's difficult sometimes. I with pro clubs, it's difficult sometimes because you come off of the previous game where you've maxed out a character, and you then go into a new one, and you're
playing non-league football
like I would control if I was in FIFA. And it's difficult to know, is it just this is just harder to do, or is it just because I've got to build a player up? One thing I did feel, and it'd be interesting to see whether you feel like this if you're playing different modes where you've got like maybe better players, in top teams. I seem to like have more misplaced passes in this game.
That's a feature, and I know that sounds mad. That's a feature. They've deliberately
you have
tried to
be
make
really on it with the direction or something.
Okay, that's interesting. So I think myself that they've deliberately put in like bad touches and sort of weird collisions to make the game feel more physically real. The physics to feel more real.
Yeah.
However, I've encountered some really strange bugs in this year's game already that I've never seen in FIFA. So I don't know. Like, I've had it where in fact, it was a goal kick, and I tried to pass the ball upwards towards, let's say, either the left centre-back or the left wing-back.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, it went the complete opposite direction. That, to me, is like, I'm not an idiot. I didn't press down and pass. I pressed up, up and diagonal. There's no way the input could have been misread.
Yeah.
And I went like, okay.
Yeah,
and my son said he's had similar with passes, like where it's just not gone. Well, he turned to me and goes, "Have you got full assist on?" I said, "I shouldn't have, no."
No, I haven't. To be honest, I'll be honest. I haven't checked that.
No, but it should use your previous game settings. That's the whole point of the hospitality stuff.
So I haven't checked all the kind of assist settings. But I mean, you know what it's like. You're playing with your mates or whatever, and it's like you misplace a pass, and they just think that you're shit. And I'm like, no, I
did not do that.
I pressed the direction and I checked this. Like, I didn't just like I wasn't really paying attention. Oh, look, I look at my thumb and it was higher up than I thought. But no, the thing is, literally in that direction.
The thing is, you're playing pro clubs, and it's presumably it's peer-to-peer servers based.
Yeah,
because it's not dedicated servers FIFA, is it?
No, don't think so.
Which, to be honest with you, part of me wonders how they can still get away with that and call it a legitimate esport when it's still reliant on, like, during the pandemic and that, because I covered some of this stuff during the pandemic when people were playing the esports tournaments, they were literally sat in their bedrooms or their esports headquarters, but it was based on the internet connection. So unless it's dedicated service, and if there is, correct us, please do. I would be surprised because it would probably be quite costly. But I started playing a bit online in Ultimate Team, and I'm like, in this very room I'm sat in, had a bit of sort of one evening sat here with the kids, and we were all just playing it, and I looked at the online stuff, and I was like, I can't do this. It's not good enough. Like, the online to me, you're at the behest of. It's 2022, and you're still at the behest of if someone's got a latency switch or some bullshit going on, or suddenly someone downloads something at their end and they've already got a dodgy connection, and it just didn't seem. I don't know. FIFA Online feels completely different to career mode or offline games. Like, I will say, the gameplay stuff I actually really, really, really like this year's FIFA in terms of how it feels. But I do think they've got some stuff wrong. Like, I was I was trying some matches as like Liverpool, because they've got some players that I really like. One of my favourite players of modern times is Thiago, for example.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel how he should feel to me. Like, I misplace passes with him, and I know every footballer does that, but generally speaking, he is one of the most naturally brilliant passers of the ball. I can't seem to do any of the shit he does. But, like, it does still seem pace oriented. Like if you play as someone like a Salah, I mean Haaland. I don't know if you've come up against a Haaland or anything in any of your. It is ridiculous. He is just a tank rolling through, and you can't like. I had 4 players try and stop him, and he was just like, and that's a concern for me for Ultimate Team. But then I suppose you're talking about a mode with icons from the past as well, so like maybe it doesn't matter. Like Salah feels like Salah.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I'm surprised by some of the game faces. Like, some of them look fantastic. Some of the characters and the visuals. Like, it still will... I don't know where the end game lies for FIFA, but when you cut to a replay and then you cut to the stadium and the fans and there are 2 identical sisters, I don't... That feels like it could just be a programming thing, like if display, then never show duplicate person. You know what I mean? It feels...
Yeah.
I mean, like someone like Nunez for Liverpool looks. He looks He looks like a girl. He looks feminine. He doesn't look like him.
Yeah, I think I said last year, like Jared Bowen. I think it was like looked like. Well, I don't want to be a drag queen or something. Some of the eyebrows they gave him or something. So it does seem. I mean, it makes sense that you would focus more of the time getting the facial recognition of the more high profile players. You
say that, but then when you go and you've got, and I should say I am a massive fan of Ted Lasso, and like that's the first thing I did, by the way. Played as AFC Richmond, played as Roy Kent, scored a goal as him and as Jamie Tart. They're not real. I mean, they're real people, but they're not real footballers. And, like, I don't know that Darwin Núñez, who's a £60 million signing and one of the marquee signings of the transfer window, should look less like his real footballer than Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent, who I'm a huge fan of, and I love it. But there is novelty. That is a novelty.
I wonder, and I don't know the timeframes of the development, but, like, you mentioned we won't get into massive football. This could be a football podcast.
No, but maybe they just couldn't get him in time.
Well,
and maybe the next update will be that.
To be fair, that particular example, he wasn't on a lot of people's radars.
No, whereas Haaland, of course, was, and Bellingham, for example, he looks. Tamori, a lot of the players that they're sort of outside of the Prem, but they're big names. They look absolutely cracking. But he really stood out to me as like, oh, like Harvey Elliott again. While I'm sticking with Liverpool, looks like so good. Like he's got that very teenage floppy hair. And I know that haircut very well, unfortunately. But it's really you look at it and you're like, that's actually really good. They've done that really well for a player who last season would have been, I mean, I don't know. It's whatever. You don't play it for the visuals. It plays a really good game of football. Ultimate Team's interesting, I think. I think I've grown out of it. I like it still and I like the idea, but I think I've grown out of it. Because I am at the point where I spend the Ultimate Edition free coin things, free points, and then I'm like, do you know what? You seem to get better stuff when you spend money. And I know that can't be true because they've been shit. But I feel like when I spend coins, I get shit. Whereas, when I spend the points that you've paid money for, I get better players.
Yeah.
No, that can't be happening. Well, I suppose it could. I don't know. It just feels.
I wouldn't like to say.
I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of the same rigmarole every year with that.
Yeah, I think
I'm done.
Yeah, I think. It looks exactly the same. That aspect of it.
They've added one new thing. Well, they've changed the chemistry, but everyone looks at it and it's like that doesn't make any sense. They've added a thing. Shit, what's it called? So there's like a lot of other sports games do this, where it's like challenges, like score 3 goals with Mbappe and this, come back from 2-0 down. Those kind of challengey things, and if you get them done, you get stars, and you can trade the star things in for like a pack or something like that. But like it again feels gimmicky, and it was so slow to start, and it was like literally make 10 passes. And it's like, okay, score a goal from inside the box, and like this is too basic for me.
Yeah.
But my kids have done them and said some of them are good, but I haven't. It's a good game. I don't know where they go next.
I will say, just because I've got an opportunity to, I despise the fact that they've essentially combined pro clubs and Volta.
I noticed that in the menu, and I wondered what happened if you clicked it. Does it actually?
It did it in the beta as well, and I wanted to. It made me scream.
So it's one thing now.
No. It's still 2 separate things, but they do it like they so want you to play Volta because everyone hates Volta, right? So what happens is
Volta's like their modern FIFA Street, I'm guessing, isn't it?
And so it's called Pro Clubs X Volta. It isn't, right? But basically, you go into the Pro, you go, I don't want to play Volta, I want to play Pro Clubs, and then you're in the menu, you're just sort of moving around, maybe going to My Pro or My Club, whatever, and it goes, by the way, this is what Volta is. I'm like, I fucking know FIFA. What Volta
really?
Is, yeah, it just interrupts you. Not like it's not like a loading screen. It's like it literally interrupts you and goes, just don't forget about Volta. And I'm like, please fuck off, FIFA.
Yeah.
And then also what it does is it does this sort of like, you know, like in Pro Clubs, you play a game and you get XP, right? But you also get Volta coins. Right, so like the idea being is that you're playing Pro Clubs, but you're also getting stuff for Volta. So you might want to go and
so they are trying to.
I don't want to try Volta. Leave me alone. So that is pushed down your neck a little bit. And the other thing, I mean, I think in 2022 you should be able to have subs on Pro Clubs.
You still can't.
You still can't. So if you get kicked out of a game, you can't drop back in the second half or something. But if your mate joins.
Yeah, you can't sub him on from the bench as a
no.
CDM.
You've just got to wait until the game finishes. I'm like, come on.
But you know what? That's one of those. I feel like everyone's got like I guess I'm sort of career mode as my main ultimate team, and then I do like Pro Clubs, but I just find the ranking of it. I don't know, too much smurfing going on in there. I know your Pro Clubs. But I feel like everyone's favourite mode has got a thing that they're like, God, I've been asking you for 10 years. Like for me, and my son said this as well, my eldest said, how is there no co-op career mode yet? Where you can like be the manager and your mate be, and I've been asking for this for it must be a decade. Like I'm the manager or something, and I pick the team, but my mate can, because you can either in career mode you can be the manager or you can be a pro. You can do pro mode and you can do pro plus player as everyone, or you can be player manager and all this. So it's like the foundations are there. It just needs you to be able to create a cloud save essentially.
You just have an extra step where you go. When you're picking the team, there's this 2 controller things. It's like that simple, isn't it? And you go,
Jesus Christ, even just let me, when I go to start a match in the middle of a match, just let me invite you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let me invite you in the menus to play a match. Like you said with Pro Clubs, these don't feel like, they feel like they should be there by now.
Yeah, it's not like there's like a reason they can't be. I don't think it almost feels like they don't need to do it, so they don't. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, like, absolutely. I mean, my biggest concern is now that without the FIFA license going forward, where it's going to be called EA Sports FC, isn't it? No, is it? Yeah, I think that's what they said. Where they can use that either to be, look at this incredible game we're going to make, or they could actually use it to spend a couple of years not being that great and say, well, look, we've kind of had to start. And it's like, you haven't, have your bollocks. It's still your engine. You're talking about licensing. So it'll be...
You've just changed the colour of the menu and called it, 24 or whatever.
They could even keep the menu. The only thing that they're losing is licensing here. They could... Yeah, it'd be really... I mean, we won't talk about FIFA too much more. Lyle, you're welcome.
I don't know if you've seen the chat.
Yeah, I have, live chat. Nick Harrington-Lewis saying Lyle's face while they're talking about football. You were, zoned out, but that's... To
be fair, there was a moment where Chris mentioned drag queens, and I thought that it was going to get a bit more interesting, but... no such luck on my part. But hey, episode 500, and it's Chris's birthday. If he wants to talk about football,
if we can't talk about football on the site's podcast birthday and Chris Hyde's birthday, then I mean,
there's something wrong with the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's. I mean, it is the most inclusive. We can say that this is the most inclusive FIFA they've ever made. I would say.
Yes,
that's good.
I mean, I'm playing Premier League matches in career mode, and Again, I could be wrong. I don't think the Premier League's had a female referee yet. Definitely linesman. Sorry, fourth official. I've forgotten what they call them now.
Definitely like lines person or fourth official. Yes. Like definitely that. I don't actually know about referee. That's a good question.
But I tell you now, in FIFA's career mode in the Premier League, there's plenty of female referees. And of course they've got women's football in it, and the what's it called? Is it the FPL? I've forgotten the name. I'm having a bit of a stroke here, I think, if I'm honest with you. And not because we're talking about women. I just mean...
Both hands up.
But, it is the most inclusive. I I don't know. I actually haven't had a chance. I've not had it long enough to play as any of the females or any of the women's teams, I should say. So I can't really comment too much about it. I always do my whole thing for straight to career mode. Like you can now. They've modelled the managers. So like Lyle, do you know the names of any managers? In like Jurgen Klopp, have you heard that name before?
I have. I've heard you say that name. I think.
Right. Well, so like he's now in the game. They've modelled him like they've done the capture of players as well. And at first I was like, that's yeah, all right, okay. Well, they should do that. But actually choosing to play as one to see what it's like, I'm not at all convinced it was a good idea because they don't speak. So when there's cutscenes in this game, right, in the career mode, when you try and sign a player, you sit down and talk to their agent or the opposition manager. Then you sit down with them to get offer a contract. You know, it's got that sort of little bit of a sim management-y thing. But nobody speaks, so they're sort of like and text coming up on the screen. And when you've created your own avatar, you're like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's me, so I can't. But when it's Jurgen Klopp talking to, I don't know, whoever, it's like, this is really weird. And now they've added new cutscenes. And I don't know who the fucking hell is sat there suggesting these. And someone's going, this isn't what needs attention. So now,
this isn't what everyone was crying out for.
No. So like I signed Jude Bellingham for my Liverpool team because that's probably going to happen in real life, and I'm sad. Okay. So normally that's fine. It's like he's introduced to the media and that's it, and then like he's part of the team and you carry on and you play your matches, you put him in the team. Now there's I wish I'd recorded this. There's a scene of him coming into the club and sort of like looking a bit confused with his bag. I'm serious. Right, and then it cuts to him like, you know, shaking hands with some random bloke who's like I guess the PR liaison or something like that, and then he's like on an exercise bike doing exercise trying to get fit for his new team.
God.
But it gets better than that, right? Because when you sell a player, when you fucking sell a player now, he comes walking out with the manager and this liaison guy carrying a little like, you know, sort of man bag briefcasey type thing, looking all sad as they show him to the fucking door. I sold Nat Phillips from Liverpool because I had too many centre backs, and he just sort of walks out like all like, just walking them out like they're walking them out of the building.
Like the losing music from Bullseye playing.
It's kind of that sort of attempt of that sort of It's like, does it like just? I mean, they must be taking the piss, right?
That sounds great. They need to take it one step further. I want like a picture of them on like a sad, grubby sofa eating baked beans out the tin or something.
The thing is, you sold him to a team, so he's going to go and still play professional football. It's a step down in terms of where he went in my career mode, but it just didn't need. Like when it comes to this cutscene, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
You'd want like a cut. You know? The next bit of it, though, wouldn't you? You'd want like he goes to. Like he goes back to his house.
Yes.
And he just slowly takes the Liverpool poster off his wall, wiping a tear from his eye. And it'd be so good. This emotional music playing.
And it still does that shit in career mode of like really unrealistic transfers. Like today I just had like Man United, your boys trying to buy Trent Alexander-Arnold for 114 million.
Oh yeah.
Which, to be fair, is probably the sort of price he would go for. But like,
well, this season.
Well, not this season, no. But he wouldn't be going to Man United, would he?
No. There would be a few people have words to say about that.
Man City came in for, I think, Thiago, then Fabinho, and it's like it just doesn't happen. I mean, Lyle's for those not watching the video version, they won't even know this, but Lyle's so offended by the football talk, he's literally gone. So I'll be distracted trying to get him back into the pod because something's happened there, obviously. So should we move on to a bit of Overwatch talk?
Take it away. Tell me.
Did you play Overwatch? The I hate saying the first game when there's only a sequel. Okay, that surprises me, right? Because I feel like
this is the thing. Like,
you'd love it.
I know, and I listened to you guys talk about a lot of it and the different characters and the roles and everything. And I'm like, you know, you talk about like supporter classes and healing and stuff like that's who I'd be and all that sort of stuff. Like, and I like the reason I play pro clubs is because I like team cooperative games stuff like this. Sounds very much like you play like that rather than on your own selfishly, you know. And I'm like, I've just never gotten into it, and it
was free to play this time, so you can absolutely be there day one. So I'm not going to go into like masses and masses of detail here on it because it's a weird one where like I could pretty much live stream it. I think like I can show you footage of the game, no problem, but I can't give it a score. I can't review it like, you know, But I think by talking about it, you're going to get the feeling that I like this game an awful lot. So I think the biggest takeaway for me so far, I've been playing it for a couple of weeks now, Overwatch 2, is that... So when I first played Overwatch, it was one of those games where it's like, yeah, everyone seems to be talking about this game, and it's Blizzard, and I like Blizzard stuff usually. Let's have a look at this, okay? And it absolutely captured me in a way that very few multiplayer games do. Like we would be playing it on PlayStation most of the time, and it would be like we would have a party, and it was 6v6 then, and the new game's 5v5, and it would be six of us playing, and you'd suddenly see so and so has entered the party, and the first thing it'd say was like, all right, mate. Got any space? I'm so afraid not. We're 6v6, someone would say, and 6 of us already, and they go, okay. And they just carry on playing the game, but kind of in their own random, they'd be with randoms in a team. But they didn't want to leave the party because they wanted to be, when someone went to bed, the next one in. Which to me is that obsessional, addictive nature that few multiplayer games do to me. And eventually they like they have to with games that especially multiplayer games like that, is that they change things, they change characters, the meta changes. And eventually I slowly fell away from it. I always kept an eye on it because I loved that game so much. Like I really loved Overwatch, but I always kept an eye on it. My kids played it, and I kept an eye on it when a new character would come out, and I might have a quick play, and then okay, cool, not for me. Like I think what actually happened with me was when the first character they added was Anna, and she was a sniper character. She's a sniper support character, but I'm so bad with sniper rifles in any game that if it was any other hero was the first hero, I wonder if I'd still be playing it today. But because it was that, I went back to play it and I'm like, this sniper, this is not doing it for me, and I just stopped again. So this, Overwatch 2, gives me the same feeling. It gives me that excitement, that feeling of like, oh, I want to try all these characters. I want to get back into this. I can't wait. And we're all going to be playing. It's free. It's cross-play. We're all going to be playing it again. And it's so exciting to think of that. There's 3 new characters. I will say the only thing that concerns me at the moment is the monetization stuff. Like, I don't have a problem with the battle pass. I actually think this won't be a popular opinion, I don't think, but I think replacing the kind of leveling up and getting, so you level up, you get a loot box. You open the loot box, there might be something in there cosmetic. It might be a dupe. It might be some coins, whatever. I actually found that system to be a bit dull. Like it's just a level meant nothing. I've got a level, loot box, level, loot box. It's just a bit cack, if I'm honest with you. This new system, yes, it's a battle pass, but I look at it from in terms of progression, that every new level I get on the battle pass is a new cosmetic, and that's what you were getting anyway. Now, if they're going to stick the heroes or at the end of the battle pass for free people, I'm not convinced that's a very good idea, because you need to be able to choose all of the characters. Do you know what I mean? And it's one step away, that is, from saying you have to buy a battle pass to get the character. Kiriko, the healer, the support, is the first of the battle pass characters, and she's the first tier, so unlocked straight away if you're a premium battle pass. I'm not so sure that shouldn't just be the case, full stop. Like, you can't... they said that there's at some point they're going to alternate between a character for the battle pass season 2, should we say. I think season 2 they've said it's probably going to be another hero. I'm not sure, but then there will be times where, because creating a new hero every season is a lot of work in terms of balance. Because when you create a new character for Overwatch, you don't just go, and there she is, there he is, there they are. You have to balance it with all the other characters so that they're not just broken. I mean, Baptiste still feels kind of broken as a support, but I don't know. So there's going to be times where the big thing, season 3, season 6, is we've got a new map, and that's going to be the big thing. And that's just going to have to be an unlock, right? You can't stick a map in a rotation that you only can play if you've unlocked level 42 of the battle pass. So I don't quite understand. I'll sit on the fence a little bit on that.
No, I do agree. I haven't played it, but when COD does its equivalent of it.
Well, everyone got wind of this eventually, Millers. You just have to give this stuff away.
Yeah, but the thing is with the COD stuff, it's not it. They do put some characters and stuff, but it's it's just an operator that's the same. It's just a skin essentially.
Yeah,
what you're talking about is literally different play styles and everything else, which is different. So I think that does That does make a difference. And maps especially, I think that's a really ropey one.
No one has sold maps now for a long time. DLC used to be, hey, buy this map pack. Map pack 1 is 3 new... No one's done that anymore because people realise that segregates the user base and it ruins... It totally destroys the user base because you've got half the people who can't.
Yeah. 100%. So I never agree with that. So if anyone brings that back, they get a big thumbs down from me.
Well, that would be very... brave or very stupid. Phil in chat says, I wonder how much money the battle pass is and how many battle passes they intend to be. It's a seasonal thing. So like the first season is, I think, I want to say it's 2.5 to 3 months. I can't remember offhand without loading it up now. It's a couple of months, shall we say, and then season 2 will be there'll be a new battle pass and like, you get the way Overwatch works. It's not so. One of the things with like Splatoon 3, for example, is if you haven't got an XP boost on, and if you're not winning every game, it's a bit of a grind. Like you're not getting levels up quick enough.
Yeah.
Overwatch isn't really like that. You're gonna unlock stuff. Like if you sit down to play a session in an evening, as long as it's not just one game and you're off. As long as you sit down for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're going to unlock something on the battle pass. It's going to progress down that thing. So I don't have a problem with the battle pass. I will say I have a problem with some of the store stuff, but I need to do a little bit more investigation before I 100% commit to sort of having a thought on that. But I mean, the game store has been open for the whole time of the review progress, and people know that if you transfer over, you keep your Overwatch coins and you can spend them on new stuff. But I'll stop short there and just say, let's table that discussion. The game's not out till the 4th. That's when I'll be giving it a score, and that's when I'll be talking about it in depth. So we'll table that, and on the other side of the scale, I will say, look, ultimately, when I'm talking about this game, the overriding emotion is, God, this is so much fun. This is giving me that game back. It needed this. It needed this shake-up. People will talk about it. Oh, this, that, but it needed this shake-up. It really needed this shake-up. It needed the injection of the new heroes. It needed the new maps. It needed the new mode, push mode. It needed the 5v5 change to just change how the meta of the game worked. It needed the limiting of tanks to 1. All the things they've done, it needed. And I think ultimately, once they release the PvE, once they get exactly where they want to get it, I think people will very quickly forget about all the complaints about leaving Overwatch behind. I mean, from a digital preservation aspect, this is bullshit. To literally delete a game and override it with its sequel. There's a disc just by the TV behind me of Overwatch that I may as well shove up my fucking arse because it does nothing now. Well, at the moment it does something, but it doesn't. It's a paperweight now. Like, it will not work. That game doesn't...
Yeah.
Literally, Overwatch no longer exists as of the 2nd. I think they're shutting it down, or the 3rd. I can't remember. But by the 4th, when the sequel's out, it's going to overwrite the original game. I don't think anyone's ever done that before.
No, and I think it's very weird, personally.
Well, like I say, from a preservation angle, that is a game now that is gone.
And it's not even like...
No.
It's not even like, no one really gives a shit. It wasn't like Overwatch was important. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, it kind of was.
It kind of was.
It kind of is.
But like when they shut down FIFA 12 servers for online play, you go, oh, that's a bit shitty, but I get it. And I can still play the offline if I really want to. This isn't that. This is, that game is gone as of October the 4th. It was an online-only game. There is no way to play that game as it existed at the start, as it existed at the end. It is being overwritten. But again, I sound like I'm down on it. It's so good. The gameplay, you forgive it. You forgive all the weirdness about this game because it's so good, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it reminds me a bit of how everyone was about Halo Infinite's multiplayer, where everything surrounding it was just like, it was either like a grind to level up battle passes, or there wasn't enough sort of like to keep you hooked into it. But the actual core game, it sounds like, is really, really working. I'm gonna try it this time.
But this is the thing, like, ultimately, when all of that, and it's the same with FIFA. The games have that in common. When all of the shit is said and done, when you've got used to it all, when you've played it for 6 months, is it fun to play? Because that's what keeps you clicking the launcher. That's what keeps you booting a game up that is otherwise a repetitive, by nature, a repetitive experience. It's a competitive shooter. You're doing the same things with different characters. You're playing the same football game with different teams, with different players. Is it fun will it keep you coming back? And that ultimately defines if it's a good game or not for me. And I wish they... It sounds mad, this. I almost wish they'd not bothered with a review program so that I could just play it with all my mates right away and not have to worry about, well, hang on, well, because it's not out yet, we need to have populated servers, so try and play between... Do you know what I mean? Like, I almost wish I could just fucking play it, because I'd have been playing it this morning. You know what I mean? It's that good. On that note, we've all brought one game, and I can't think of much bigger of a diversion from FIFA to Overwatch to Lyle. Not to Lyle,
to me, yeah. I am a big diversion from Overwatch and FIFA. This week, I have brought The Spirit and the Mouse, which is a lovely little indie game where you play as a mouse and you wander around a tiny French village trying to help people who are struggling with electricity problems. So how you do that, you're a mouse, you're a regular mouse. So how do you do that? You do that by this spirit falls from the sky and gives you electric powers, which essentially just means you can like zap things if you get close to them, or you can like go through plugs a bit.
You're essentially Pikachu.
It is a game about Pikachu. Yep. It's off-branded. They didn't want to get sued, but they obviously wanted to make a Pikachu game. We all know it. No, not really. You're a very regular mouse. You're so regular, you can't jump. It's almost like a 3D platformer, but you can't jump. You can just sort of climb up steps. So it's like if there's a ledge, you sort of like press A and you auto climb up it.
Oh, right, I'm with you. Yeah.
But like it's essentially it's a 3D exploration game.
Have you played Stray?
I have not played Stray.
I think we need to find a way for you to play Stray.
Okay. I mean, I think is it still on the PlayStation now? Whatever.
Yes. Because Stray does that as well, where you're running around as a creature, but you can't physically jump. You have to press X to jump to the thing. It's there's a lot of parallels, I suppose, between the two. Well, no, there isn't. Just that one.
Just that one.
Yeah, just that one actually.
I like mice more than cats as well, so maybe Stray's not for me. But yeah,
you'd like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, well, I like Jerry. Tom can fuck off.
Well, Jerry tends to win, doesn't he? That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Spoiler alert, by the way, if anyone's not around to
you've ruined it. Tom and Jerry is ruined.
Yeah, wow.
That was just... I suppose it's his birthday. We'll let him off. We'll let him off this time. So yeah, that's the Spirit and the Mouse. It's basically like you're in these big 3D... I say big. I suppose it's not big. It's a village of about like 10 houses and a few shops, but you're a mouse, so it seems pretty big. And your aim is to like... There's these sort of junction boxes that you need to turn on by helping out little like electric spark creatures. And to do that, you do stuff like there might be some that want to play hide and seek. There'll be some that are like, oh, I want to make sure that the restaurant has its menu right. So can you go and look for receipts and see if you can find out how much a margarita pizza costs? And it's just like, it's really charming. And it's another game kind of like, in the review, I think I compared it to Tinykin, where there's not really
I was going to ask.
Yeah, nothing can really happen to you. You can't... No. There's no peril. There's no enemies.
I don't think it's quite as good as Tinykin, if I'm honest. I don't think it's... Like, I think
it doesn't sound like the movement would be as
No, it's not. It's not. No. Tinykin's movement, it's hard to... We've talked about the platformer feel before, haven't we, on here? Like, where Tinykin is like...
Tinykin is a platformer, which
I
guess
that's true.
Is kind of
yes, that's true.
The big difference. So the jumping in The Spirit and the Mouse is, by definition, rubbish because you can't do it. But like in terms of, it has that very same feel. It feels like a lovely place to be. Like you've got like really like calm French music playing in the background, like just sort of like it's got such a nice vibe to it. And like, it's just a really nice way to spend 4 hours, I think, to beat it, maybe 5 to get everything. But there's a lot of, it's fun. Like there's loads of little collectibles, these sort of light bulbs that have fallen off a big like display in the middle of town. So you collect them and they give you like a few different power-ups for collecting them, or they give you things like maps and things like that. So it's nice. It's just a it's a lovely little game. Not enough people are talking about it. In the
Nobody is
no
talking
one
about
at
it.
all.
Yeah, no one. It's insane, isn't it? Really, it's really.
But I don't think Tinykin got that much. But I think it only got some press because it was in Game Pass.
Yeah,
I think that would have had the same situation. I mean, whether that translated to sales for Tinykin, I mean, it is interesting to look at those two as parallels and sort of go, well, I wonder if Tinykin hadn't been in Game Pass, would anybody care? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's almost like a promotional tool more than it is. I mean, you're not buying games, are you? Because they're on the service, but
no, but it definitely feels like Tinykin. At least people were aware of its existence, whereas the Spirit and the Mouse, unfortunately, not. But it's really nice. It's on Switch and PC, I think. So great on Steam Deck. A really nice, just way to chill out with that game. I don't know how the Switch port is, but hopefully good because it's very, very nice portable. But
it's not a taxing game, I don't think, is it? It's not
no. I seem to recall it's like a really surprisingly tiny download. So hopefully it's okay there. But yeah, it's just a nice, like, if you just want a happy feeling, relaxing game to play, you want kind of like the opposite of something competitive or twitchy. Like it works perfectly for that. And I'm a real sucker for if there's an animal protagonist in a game, because I just don't think there's enough sort of like.
It's weird though, like because after this review went up, I have had so many emails about games coming out. Like one was about bees. There was like go through your menagerie, and it's like someone's noticed, hey, the internet really likes animals, doesn't it? And now everyone's making games about like where you play as an iguana. Actually, that's been done, hasn't it?
I'll play the lot of them.
It's like that whole thing. It's like, you can pet the dog. And it's
there's a squeak button in the Spirit and the Mouse, because of course there's a squeak button, because there has to be after the meow button in Stray. And but
Deadbeat Punk in the chat says, what next to Goat Game? And of course now Goat Simulator 3 is coming to Fortnite. So
it is indeed.
Oh yeah.
And you can read more about that story on godisageek.com. But yeah, that's I mean, at this point, episode 500, we should be fucking coming to Fortnite. I think they should put skins for all of us in there.
That would be great.
You joke, actually. I joke, I say, but at one point I did genuinely try to convince the PR to suggest Cookie's Corner as a new location for Fortnite once. I did genuinely try. I said, look, you've got all these rhyming things. Do it for me. Do it. I didn't get in there.
Damn. But yeah, Hawaiian shirts. Who doesn't want to wear them in Fortnite?
Grey caps.
Caps.
Headsets that are on, but not on. They're just like it's for show because there's a microphone in front of him. Yeah. Right. Well, listen, we've gone a bit light on the games this week because, of course, it's Chris Hyde's birthday and it is the 500th episode, so we want to do a really healthy dose of listener correspondence. However, before we do, it is worth saying that we have a Patreon where you can support this channel, this website, all of us financially. I hate saying that, but like that kind of thing helps us enormously. It pays our wages. And if you did that, you could go to patreon.com/godisageek. Now, currently, we have a premium Patreon-only podcast called Breath of the Lyle, which you would know all about if you go to our Discord, which is another community bonus for the Patreon. We're on episode 9 of 10, with one left to go. And then we're going to give that a little bit of a break. And I thought maybe it'd be a nice thing for Chris Hyde to reveal what the next premium podcast is going to be and what episode 1's going to be about. Because I can't remember if we give it a name.
Because I don't know what the name is. I don't know what the content is. You're making me.
You know what the content is. You know what we agreed on the first game. I just don't think we have agreed on a name. Yes, one of your favourites of all time, mate, for goodness sake.
Your favourite of all time as well.
No, yours. Well, it is now.
It is now, but you haven't played it.
No, it is for you. But yeah,
sorry, carry on talking. My daughter's having a
I got that. I got that. It's fine. I'm going to load up the Google Doc as we talk because I don't remember if we gave it a name. I genuinely don't.
I don't think
we've just called it the Retrocast in the doc.
It'll probably have a catchier, fun name than that.
I'm not convinced it will. I think it might just be called the God is a Geek Retrocast.
It might not be that clever.
Because we used to, one of the things that we used to do a lot of is podcasts. And I don't mean that we don't now. We still do them. We do spoilercasts, blah, blah, blah. We used to have multiple podcasts dedicated to lots of different things. Like we used to have a Retrocast. We used to have a podcast just about MMORPGs. We used to have lots of I tried to create a podcast network and it failed. So we just rolled back to doing a podcast. But with Patreon, we get to explore a bit more and do some stuff that is kind of just for us and just for you. So, the Retrocast, episode 1, Chris Hyde, would you like to reveal what game? You'll only be able to hear this.
Give me a few minutes. I'm trying to find the docs that you're
So
referring
in
to.
the Retrocast, we're going to be talking about games that aren't ancient. Hang on. I'll tell people what it is now anyway. But it's like it's they're not ancient games, but they're big games that we haven't talked about on a podcast because they came out before we started or stuff like that.
I'm getting a bit in the semi looking at these games.
But the idea is that definitely initially, these will only be available on Patreon. Okay, you will only get them by being a premium subscriber, as it were. I think we might end up putting them out. I'm not going to say when, because I think these are going to be... we haven't recorded them yet. I think these are going to be really cool and very entertaining, and I think they're going to be full of passion and heart, which is something I like to push in sort of the gaming content, because it's nice to talk positively about stuff. You can't love everything, but the point about these games is that we do love them. As
opposed to the current Patreon exclusive podcast,
which is kind of hateful.
Where it's kind of a spectrum of emotions, and love is very much lower down on the list, I would say.
Yeah. I'd say it's a spectrum of the negative emotions.
Yes, this is very much the opposite.
Yes.
It's not even a case of it will be like us 3 every week, because there might be an episode where someone hasn't played it, so someone else might have to be on the podcast. But for the first episode, which again, there's no date for this yet, it will be this year, obviously. We've nearly finished Breath of the Wild. But for the first episode of the Retrocast, Chris Hyde, what will we be talking about?
We are going to be talking about the sublime Metroid Prime.
Ooh,
now, I didn't even realise that was going to rhyme, but I'll keep going now.
The sublime Metroid Prime. I didn't know it was going to rhyme. Just fucking drop
at some time. Get in line.
Oh, nah, stop there. Once you've sometimes you've won. Take the win.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Retro Studios Metroid Prime on the GameCube,
and Wii.
And we are we? That's not even. I don't even mean that one either. Are we genuinely talking about the Wii one?
It's the same game, isn't it? It's just slightly different things.
Controls, but
yeah.
So yes. So again, the interesting point here is obviously, Adam, you've only played this game quite recently.
This year for the first time, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's what's going to be really interesting about this this podcast, because I think there's a few titles on here where we all played the games at the time, and it's like fondly remembering, and then there are some, because we won't reveal other ones on the list, but there are some where some of us have only played it quite recently, and I think that conversation is going to be different as a result, in terms of how we talk about it. So I think it's going to be very interesting. But yes, episode 1, when we record it, will be about all the joys of Metroid Prime.
And again, like I'm not 100% sure that these will always be Patreon only, but they will certainly be Patreon only for a while. So if you want to get on board with them, that's the way to do it. Now, the other order of business this week is that Chris Hyde's listener correspondence is next. Excuse me. And we have a third and final jingle for him to hear. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask Chris if he wouldn't mind having a listen to the jingle. And then I will mute him on the stream so you don't get in all the feedback. This is the third and final jingle, and then we're going to play all the jingles to celebrate Chris Hyde and his birthday. And he can pick of the 3, and he can ask me to play. I mean, you'll have to give me a few seconds to cue them up each time, but he can ask me to cue them up and play them. And if anyone in the chat wants to say which one they prefer, we'll have to give them nicknames.
Oh yeah, definitely do that.
So get in the chat and tell us. But this is up to him. It's the birthday boy's choice. So. For episode 500, I'll just mute you now, Chris, so you're not... No, that's fine. So this is Listener Correspondence and the brand new jingle.
Chris Hyde. Listener Correspondence. Listener Correspondence. Chris Hyde. Chris Hyde. Listener Correspondence. Listener Correspondence.
So, Lyle, you were able to hear it, or are you just seeing?
I can hear a little bit. I can hear enough, I think.
Okay. So, I'll unmute Chris now, and I can hear myself now. That's spooky. So, what do you think, Chris? What do we need to do here? What
are you thinking? Big decision.
I mean, I could be a multi-platinum selling artist, couldn't I? I think that's pretty clear across all three mixes. It is, I think that's what we're saying.
It's your birthday, so we'll say yes.
Yeah. I want to hear the other two like straight afterwards, because but I like it, but I know the other two were of high quality, and also to be really clear, what I'm going to be looking for is a combination of the audio and the visuals, because I think they're.
Well, then I think what we'll do is I'm going to mute you now. Okay, so people can't hear you. So Chris is now muted. I'm going to play I think this is the first one that we released, and then we'll go straight into the second one and the third one. So Chris gets a good look at all three on the trot. So I'm going to shut up now, and here's number one.
It's time. It's time. List the correspondence. It's time. List the correspondence.
So we'll go straight then into number two, which is...
List the correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Still gets me. And the freshest, I guess, one we will introduce now. Once again, this is number three. Here we go.
Chris Hyde. List the correspondence. List the correspondence. Chris Hyde. Chris Hyde. List the correspondence. List the correspondence. List the correspondence.
What I do want to add, Lyle, just while Chris is still listening to them, is that I want people to know how hard that is to produce as a live thing, because while the audience can't hear Chris, just back me up. You and I can.
Yes.
So I'm hearing.
It was weird.
This is the thing. I'm hearing it in duplicate, but out of time with one another. So I just want to say it might be his birthday, but I'm a fucking dot. Do we? So what do you want, Chris? Do you want to hear any more of it? What do you want to do? Oh. I'll just unmute you after saying how good I was at live production.
Okay, cool. No, I've made a decision.
Oh my god!
About what I think is best. Can I just say? I've made my decision, and I'm not going to change it. But I'd be really interested to know what the chat thinks.
That's okay.
And I also kind of want to know what you guys think.
Lyle, that was a really old man noise. I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
My pick would be the freshest one. The one revealed the new today. One. I really like. I just like the way it sounds. What a great description of that music.
See, I'll be completely honest. Like the one this week was the first one I did, and the first one was it the first one Steve sent? I can't remember. But the first one I put to a video, right? Mm-hmm. And thus is why it's completely in sync. Like he's in sync with the sound, because I then got really lazy and started just like chucking shit behind them, like sheep and goats and monkeys or whatever it was. But Kieran in chat says number two, which I think is the monkey and sheep one.
It's a good shout.
But my vote, was same as Lyle. Actually, I like the most recent one. I just think it's a bit the music I like of the chilled out one on the beach, but the video itself I like this week's. So. But it's nothing to do with me, really. I just click a button.
Or either of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think my favourite is, I agree with Kieran, I think number two. And I'll tell you why. So I know why number three is your vote, Adam.
Okay.
Because I think you're a perfectionist of the production, now, aren't you? You like when things are in sync. Whereas I look at number two and I just think you think you've just cobbled it together. But you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Let's not pretend that you've not spent ages getting me the right angle, so I'm on that sand dune. And like I say, last week was the first week I noticed there was a second sheep behind me.
Yeah, no, that's also fair.
And then there's a random monkey, and the second one still has the gyrating women like the first one.
Well, it's worth saying that the monkey is supposed to be in time with you singing, so.
Even better.
The
point is, I watched all three of them, and the one that really made me laugh the most still is number two. And I agree with you. I think the music the track is better. Number 3 is, like you say, more in sync. You're absolutely right, but I just think for comedy value and overall, like you say, monkey, sheep.
Yeah, you can't.
Beach.
It gets tired of
you
seeing.
Can't. I mean, that's the trifecta, right?
I really did. I may still revisit it and have it. It's a little bit. Well, it's a lot more work actually to have you pop up from behind the dune slowly. That was the original plan.
Some weird stalker.
Exactly that. But like at the time, I just didn't have long enough to do that. Like I may still revisit it, but that sounds like decision made to me.
Decision made. Number 2.
That re-edit, I think you should do that for episode 600 probably.
I might need a bit more time the amount of bloody games that are coming out at the moment. Right, well, okay then. Let's play the jingle. You will never see the others ever again. This is it.
They're gone.
They've
been deleted like Overwatch.
Like Overwatch, they are gone. It's time for...
Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
Like if you look, I got the ears flapping behind your...
I know, it's
fair enough.
It is. But
it's
you can see why I didn't
well.
spot it, because my head's massive.
Oh yeah,
like the Malcolm
I scaled it right up.
And so it's superb.
Okay. Well, so your turn, mate. There's going to be quite a lot of this, so strap yourself in.
Quite a lot of me talking, so strap in, ladies and gentlemen. The first question on this mammoth listener correspondence comes from Render, who asks, what dead franchise would you revive and what franchise would you end?
No, I actually have really quick, easy answers if you just want a little bit of thinking time.
I mean, I'll just say Croc for the Patreons.
Nice.
Get my extra points on birthday day and say I'd revive Croc. What would I end?
You're going to be surprised by the one I say for that.
What would I end? Something Lyle likes. Fall Guys.
Is that a franchise? Well, I suppose.
But for the purposes of this, yes.
Sure. It's a bit sad, but I can't remember when I last loaded it up. I mean to, but
since you won, that's it. You're not playing.
I won. I was like, nope, that's it. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we all mean to do lots of things. I mean, no, let's not get depressed on Chris's birthday. Lyle, do you have any, or do you want me to go?
Okay. I think it's been long enough that Parappa the Rapper is currently a dead franchise, and it really does need a injection of 2D paper-like rap into the world. So Parappa the Rapper I'll revive. After this week, I'll kill FIFA, and just then we will have to talk about it again on another important anniversary.
Once a year, God forbid.
Yeah.
I'd bring back Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver. That whole it's just it's a disgrace. Yeah, well, hey, I'm nothing if not a people pleaser, which is why I'd end Call of Duty. The most popular gaming franchise.
Literally, meant to say I played the Modern Warfare.
Yeah, I should say I don't dislike any of them. I'm not anti Call of Duty, but like I don't see innovation anymore, and like I wish they'd just take a couple of years off. Do you know what I mean? And come back real fresh.
It's the same thing with FIFA, though, isn't it? It's the moolah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he of course, but like Lyle said, FIFA. All joking aside, I'd be tempted to say just take fucking pairs of eFootball round the back with a shotgun now, out the back of the cabin, you know, because like
there is no point to it.
It just feels sad, and I love that series, but I also don't want no competition. I mean, you could easily argue Battlefield, but Battlefield could be brilliant again if they brought back some of the things people liked about Battlefield. Sorry. Yeah, that's me. Easy answer.
Happy thoughts.
Birthday boy.
Indeed, yeah. Pughoof Gaming.
Hello, Lee. We miss you, Lee.
Indeed. Hi, Lee. The seminal question, does ketchup go in the cupboard or the fridge?
Do you need to give some background to this?
Well, this was before my time, so you might have to fill in a little bit. But I know that
it was just something we
asked.
Back
in the day, you guys used to ask at the end of all interviews this one question to everybody, and there was like a running tally, wasn't there, of who voted for which one?
Like publisher, developer, journalist. Well, if you were in the games industry, we had you on the podcast, or you were interviewed by God is a Geek, we would ask that question: do you keep your ketchup in the fridge or the cupboard? And to be honest with you, we only really stopped I mean, it really threw some people. I can remember having people come back from like hands-on previews and interviews where there was like, I can't remember. I think there was some Japanese developers who were like really, really confused by why they were being asked about it. And that's fair.
That's fair.
Absolutely fair.
Because you might wonder if it's like lost in translation or something.
Ketchup, I keep up my bottom. I don't know, but like it just sort of ran its course, and also everyone else started nicking it, and we had fucking t-shirts. I've still got some t-shirts of it on, actually.
Well, you showed me,
behind me, like, again, they're there. It sort of everyone else started doing it, and it just, I don't know, it felt like people stole our thunder and stole our thing, which, you know, God as he gives, the world takes.
Fuck me. Right, Lyle.
What's the answer? We've all got to answer it.
I've got to...
Yeah, go. You go for it.
It's in the fridge.
Yep, I'm in the fridge.
Okay. I am forever the contrarian in that my answer to this question is that it's usually just on a cabinet. It's just sort of like to the side of us for if we need to want some. So it is out the fridge, but it's not in a cupboard either. It's just on a cabinet.
Bloody hell. I mean, that is to all intents and purposes not in the fridge, therefore cupboard.
I guess so, yeah.
I do have to ask Chris a question, and Lyle, you have to pretend you can't hear this, okay?
Okay.
Chris, do you ever, like, you get the ketchup out, okay, and you put it on the table, and you use a bit of ketchup, like when you're having your cooked breakfast or some chips or not, whatever, do you ever then just kind of forget to put it back in the fridge, and then put it back in the fridge the next day?
Sometimes, yeah.
Does that make us frauds?
I mean, no, it just...
Sorry, because I rephrase. Does that make us more frauds?
I mean, no. I guess the question is, where should it go?
Ketchup. It's got it on the packet. There. It says on the fucking bottle, refrigerate.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I have checked. It tells you to refrigerate.
Yeah. Imagine.
I've tweeted when I had a Twitter account. Lyle, you can come back now. By the way,
Phew.
I'm glad.
Interesting. You could hear that when you weren't listening.
I know it was.
He had his hands over his ears. I mean,
yeah,
but he knew when to take them off. Is my point.
Oh, I texted him. You just can't see.
Yeah. So look, see it. It's on my phone.
Yeah, fridge, and cupboard. So 2-1. We still win, Chris. It's just a hollow victory because in chat.
To be honest, I think if he'd agreed with us, we'd actually lose. So I think
it's found that much worse.
It's 3-0, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. McPoo asks, which member of the pod has the most sex appeal and why? So there's only 3 of us on. So you've only got 3
Lyle,
choices.
isn't it? I mean, fucking.
But
is.
It's Chris's birthday. It's
Chris,
today.
Isn't it? It's his birthday.
Yeah, it is. It's his birthday, so he's suddenly sexy.
It's like, it's his birthday, so fuck it. He's a munter, but for today...
No, right. I'll tell you that I'm jealous of Lyle's confidence, and I'm jealous of your hairline, Chris.
Oh,
I'm jealous of your voice.
Fucking hell.
No,
that is the most veiled compliment. I know, I've got that all my life. But it's
that's the thing. Like...
Yeah, oh, really? So you don't want to fuck me, but you would like to listen to me while you fuck someone else?
Or listen to you fucking... Anyway, carry on.
Am I or reading the shipping report, like in is it Black Books, where... Fran?
Just
oh my God, Fran!
You on the... what's it called? When you ring the talking clock.
I'd do that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you reckon that's like? How does that work, do you reckon? Like, is someone on a retainer somewhere getting, like, that's their living?
What, like royalties?
or is someone actually there, like, just sitting in front of a mic all day, every day going...
No, it's a recording.
51? Yeah, but so how does that work? Do they sign away the rights once they've done it? Oh, God, that's an interesting...
imagine it's a flat fee,
sad,
right?
interesting... Well, it must be, because, I mean, does it even exist now?
It
can't still be going. What's the use for it,
It's not sponsored by Accurist anymore. It's sponsored by someone else. Other watch brands are available. Anyway,
I forgot that existed. The talking clock. Good
Lord. Shows how old I am. It's because I'm old. I'm getting old today.
How do you get? What do you ring to get it?
That I can't tell you. That I don't know.
It up.
Yeah. But I think what we're saying is essentially the correct answer any other week is Lyle, but you're being nice. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely.
Dial 1 2 3.
Lyle's saying. Lyle's like, no, I think you're fine. I've got the most sex appeal.
Yeah. Well.
Holy shit! It's 50p a minute. Mind you, why are you? Who's sitting there?
I really want to know what the time is.
Yeah, for at least a minute.
Kieran, who is McPoo that asked the question, said, "I wrote this question thinking Mick might be on the pod."
He did.
I think if Mick was on the pod, it's like, Mick, move on.
I mean, Mick would have made sure. Mick wouldn't have given it to you out of niceness on your birthday.
No, he'd have just and then he'd whipped it out, I suspect.
Yeah, probably.
So everyone's missed that. Yeah.
I think we've talked. I'm sure we've talked about this before in a roundabout way. Kieran also asks, "What are your McDonald's breakfast orders?"
Surely we.
Well, they've changed their menu for breakfast recently, haven't they? Because they used to do a breakfast wrap, which was all right, but it was a bit shit because it was just all their breakfast things shoved into a wrap with whatever sauce you asked for. They do breakfast rolls now, as well as McMuffins and that. But I would go sausage, bacon, and egg McMuffin.
When I went to McDonald's recently, I couldn't see an option to have the bacon and the sausage.
You might be right, actually.
Yeah, because I always thought, because when I was there, I was like, well, I'll get all three, and I didn't. And then I decided to go just sausage because I'm normally a bacon guy, and the McDonald's sausage is really good. So I think I would go...
Some people hate it, but I'm with you.
Really?
I think you're absolutely quite right. I think I had a double sausage and bacon. I keep wanting to say McFlurry. That would be disgusting. McMuffin
or amazing.
So
what?
Bring it
hang
up.
on. So Lyle, are you same as me then? Are you? Or are you going just sausage?
I'd go sausage and egg, and I always get, as well as that, I always get one of the really shit like bacon and cheese flatbreads that aren't nice.
They've just been mentioned. I've never seen them.
They're not very good, but they cost like £1, so I always get one as well. So
there's like a turnover thing that you get in a bakery. Oh, I wouldn't want that from McDonald's.
Yeah, it's not. Well, they're not very good, but like
Kieran's mentioned in the chat about a hash brown, and before we come off this topic, obviously Chris has to give us his, but we do need to talk about the hash browns.
Yeah, we do. So it's right. I was going to mention them anyway. So
cool.
To get the. I don't like egg, so that immediately erases 95% of the McDonald's breakfast menu. So, I mean, it's literally a bacon roll for me, and my hardest decision is, do I have ketchup or brown sauce? And it's normally ketchup.
Ketchup, yeah.
But
can you actually beat a bacon roll?
Well, this
ever. Ever.
I mean, I would rather it wasn't McDonald's making it for me if I was having a bacon roll. But no, I think you're still ranking quite high on the breakfast tier score when you rock it with a bacon roll, right?
Yeah.
And then always at least one hash brown on the side. Sometimes you can get a meal, can't you, with a drink and a hash brown.
So when you order,
have another hash brown.
It's if you order a large meal or not. I think it's like they add the hash brown to. So if you say, can I have a blah 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 meal, or do you want large or regular? Large means a bigger drink and a hash brown. So you would if they forgot the hash brown, would you be like, come on?
Well, one, because I've ordered a second one. No, hash browns are fucking golden, and I am very disappointed in any breakfast scenario where a full English doesn't include a hash brown.
I'm gonna. Well, let's leave it because it's your birthday.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't mind you just having wrong opinions, but
no, I love hash browns. I love them. I don't want one with the McDonald's. It's weird. They just give you a fucking hash brown in a paper bag.
It's amazing.
Put it in the McMuffin then. I'm all for hash browns. Yeah, but they should do
that.
But don't,
you
can't, because the thing with the McMuffin is they have cheese in them, so they're like all stringy. You can't really get the purchase to get it in there.
I mean, I don't have that issue because I've literally got to separate ketchup and bread, so I'm fine.
Are you not strong enough anymore to pull
cheese apart?
No.
I can just imagine going.
I don't want it all. I just want to eat it. I'm hungry. But I would do. I may do that now. Now you've said that, I may try that. But the idea of them just handing you a hash brown isn't an accoutrement to a meal. It's fucking part of it, and I find it egregious and insulting that you would hand it to me as if it was some kind of used tissue. Give it to me in the meal.
I mean, I'm of the opinion...
Chris, you come around mine and I give you a cooked breakfast, and there's... Oh, hang on. Sorry, Chris. Just got to go back to the kitchen. Here you go. There's a plate with smashed browns on. I would be fucking furious if someone did that to me.
No, see, I wouldn't be, because I'd be fuming that they hadn't given me hash browns, and I'd be like, you've just fucking won at life today, sir, because you've just given me a plate of hash browns.
Like a forgotten afterthought.
I also like the fact that the hash brown is like handheld. It's a nice little handheld shape of a hash brown.
But it's also too hot, whereas if it were just part of the meal, it wouldn't be so bloody hot.
I think a lot of your gripes can be solved very easily. I think the thing is, if you were saying that they're rank, then I think it'd be a different conversation. You're saying
they're just too hot.
You're saying I've got to put it in my muffin.
I will listen. In October, there is a guarantee I will have a McDonald's breakfast. I will have it with that, and I will do I will stick it in there. It could be a revelation.
In the McMuffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether my driver likes it or not. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. McPoo also asks, what does Lyle think of Elden Ring? This should be a quick question.
Well, I've been playing Elden Ring. I have played about 2 hours of it, so I have very in-depth opinions that
completed it, mate.
Really good. Yeah, completed it. So it's quite good. I don't mind it. I mean, I'm not far enough to say like much about it. Like, I've wandered around a big world and I get killed constantly by pretty much anything, other than like maybe like an antelope. I can just about take on an antelope with like all my magic and a few swigs from my flask. But like, I feel like I'm starting to get into it. Then I went into a little cave and opened a chest and ended up in hell. And it's been fucking miserable. But then I realized that because I've lost all my like currency and shit, I'm now just running around hell trying to collect things that are a bit rare and late game, which I think is probably the right thing to be doing. So I'm just sort of like sprinting along with my horse, getting with like arrows and fire everywhere, and it is quite epic. But I haven't really played enough of it. I will say my biggest gripe with the game is probably just that like anytime anyone talks to me, it's so serious and dull, and like I just can't be dealing with it. So like every time someone talks to me, like it's like I'm like I just turned on Lord of the Rings halfway through and I start zoning out, just sort of thinking like it's really serious and a bit dull right now, and I'm not that bothered. I don't care what an Elden Ring is. It's just like fantasy nonsense, and I sort of ignore it. So I don't really like the world. Well, the world's nice to look at. It's got a big tree in, but I don't really like
the story's bollocks.
Yeah, the story
it's
just like
it's nonsensical bollocks.
Yeah, I mean that's how I'm feeling about it now. But I imagine in a lot more hours I'll probably be maybe more annoyed at it. We'll find out. But like it's all right. I've never really got into a Souls game, so like I'm really bad at it, and the combat feels weird still. So, I mean, hopefully I get better at it and stop dying, but it doesn't sound like I will. I think that's sort of the point.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I don't hate it. I've not played enough of it to give it a score, like a 6.5 or anything, just to pluck one out of the air.
And I let's see how many people can answer this. What's your favourite piece of music from the soundtrack?
One of them.
Yeah, it's been so long. Because it was March, and I was like,
Jesus.
Yeah, and I was just like, I remember thinking some of the battle, like boss music, was epic. Because I mean, there was some of them I had to listen to quite a few fucking times. But I can't name any of them. Like I can't
No one can.
No,
certainly no one here.
Possible.
So apologise for that limp answer. But we go from limp to quite epic in terms of scale, because the real Captain Redemption asks, just simply, what are your top 5 RPGs of all time? No holds barred. Go.
Is this like? Do we have to agree?
No, because that's a whole. That's a week
Jesus
long
Christ!
podcast.
Yeah, that's a bonus podcast. That is.
Final Fantasy VII is mine. And I would
all
probably
that as 5 paid. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, and
I would
5.
probably go Lost Odyssey as number 2 because it's the closest they've ever made to another Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
After that, I don't think I can. Like I just don't think I can, and I don't have to. That's the thing about getting older, that I don't have to do anything I don't want to.
Fucking brilliant. So just to be clear, all of our patrons that have supported us throughout many of these 500 episodes
through the pandemic.
What Adam Cook is saying is, fuck you, I don't have to answer your questions.
I don't think I said it quite like that.
No,
but that was the
hidden
core
meaning,
belief
fine.
and intent of it. Yeah.
So I will say.
All right, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Throw that in there as a third.
Oh, that's a good one.
There's
I
number
will
3.
say some others. I will say Tales of
Yep.
Symphonia.
Okay.
I was going to throw a Rise in there, but I don't know if I will right now. Skies of Arcadia Legends. I didn't play the Dreamcast version, so I don't know about that one. Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah, I'd maybe have that in mind too.
I'd
probably have 10 in there as well.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
The first one.
Yeah. Fuck, that's only 4 in it. I swear I had
the Witcher
8.
3,
What's
or
that?
like a Witcher 3 or a Fallout, or would they factor anywhere? Elder Scrolls. Because he didn't say JRPGs, did he? Just said role-playing games.
Just RPGs,
which is unbelievably broad now I think about it.
Yeah, you're playing as something. Lyle, any?
Yeah. Okay.
Are we going to heard of? Are we going to know any of these?
Yeah.
Persona 4. Persona 4 Golden.
Ooh,
I'm going to stick in my list. Actually,
I did think you would put a Persona in there.
Yeah.
I think Persona 4 has to be in there. I think Final Fantasy 7 has to be. No, Final Fantasy 9. Sorry, has to be in there. And I think Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door needs to be in there. So that's 3 of mine that have basically been covered already. What else was I thinking?
What about a Pokemon game? Would any of them factor? Honestly?
Not for me, no. I love Pokemon, but
I wouldn't call them best RPGs ever.
No, definitely.
No, okay.
I don't think so either. I love
Chrono
a lot
Trigger
of
not be in anyone's.
It's very good.
I've never really played it. The only other one I was thinking.
Secret of Mana
would probably be up there for me as well. Yeah, well, it's my favorite game of all time, so it probably should be.
Diablo, Mass Effect. Again, they're not JRPGs.
No, they're not. Yeah,
My other 2 would probably be. I'd have Final Fantasy 7 Remake because I think I prefer that to original 7. That was my game of the year that year. I think that's really, really good. Top 5 worthy. And I mean, I might have. It's it's probably more sentimental and wouldn't seem as incredible maybe playing it today, but I'd probably have Kingdom Hearts 2 in there as well. I think that's my 5.
See, I think I'd consider Bloodborne, but I feel like I'm stretching the boundaries of.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing something that I should be putting in, but I can't think what it is.
But it's such a broad. You could Stardew Valley's an RPG.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah.
I've literally just Googled top RPG games, including
The last
Witcher
5 minutes.
And stuff.
Yeah. Well, The Witcher is definitely an RPG.
Disco Elysium and things like that in this. God, Monster Hunter World.
Yeah. I think Mass Effect 2's close for me, but I don't know if I'd put it above
Breath of the Wild.
Oh, definitely.
So I've got 6 now, that means. Oh, but Mass Effect 2.
Well, I'd have thought Mass Effect 2 for you,
No, 2 is just...
It's so good. I don't know if it quite makes the 5, but it could on a day where I felt like it.
I'd have to splinter it into an extra list of action adventure or kind of. I'd have to do a JRPG list and a
I was going to say, I've just looked at JRPGs and I'm like, Golden Sun. Anyway,
Golden Sun, what a game! Shit, that sounds like a retrocast waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Golden Sun. I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we have time. Truth be told, I think it's actually a potential we could do something like that for a podcast because we used to do a lot of listy stuff. I wouldn't mind doing something like that. That was another consideration alongside the retrocast is to do top 5 this, top 5 that. So that's not a bad shout. I think that'd be a long podcast.
Yeah,
probably.
I think we have to move on because I just don't.
No, let's move on. So, what games are you looking forward to most in 2023?
I really want to see how Gotham Knights is. Because I think people are writing that off, and I think people are forgetting how good those Batman Arkham games were.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's it's
Spider-Man doesn't exist without those Arkham games. Not in its form we've got now. Spider-Man might have perfected that combat, but it owes an awful lot to it. And if they can avoid the trappings of some of the Warner Brothers shit they like to put in these games and the transaction-y type stuff that is a very modern thing. If they can avoid that, make those characters that are playable feel different and cool individually, I don't see a way in which that's not a really, really good game. Like I almost feel like they'd have to fuck it up.
This is the thing. It is one of those things where I think I'm either going to be talking about it in biggest disappointment, or I'm going to be like, this is going to be fucking great.
Like I just feel like it's being written off, man, because I don't know why. Because like Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, these are games like Arkham Asylum, especially, is a game most people, if you played it, you look back at it and go, that's potentially a top 10 of all time at that one. But that is, we didn't get. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a younger audience that are forgetting that we didn't get games that good based on superheroes and movie properties. We didn't. They were shit. Like I can remember X-Men Wolverine being a good one. The rest were all just trash fires. That kind of, it almost lit a fire under the developers and publishers and going, hang on, if we make these good,
people will buy them.
Buy them by the fucking millions.
Just discovered something.
like Kieran in chat says, I think people are expecting Avengers again. It does look like it could go that way. I think, and this is the horrible worry I've got, I think the Rocksteady game is the one that's going to go that way. Suicide Squad. I think what they've shown of Gotham Knights looks like a Batman Arkham game.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I would also chuck in, because I don't think anyone else will mention it, new Tales from the Borderlands. Because Tales from the Borderlands was perhaps one of the best Telltale games.
Yeah.
And I know Telltale aren't behind it, but like the characterizations, the story itself, the humour. I'm just looking literally on the God is a Geek release list here, and I'm looking at them down there, and yeah, like New Tales from the Borderlands is out around a similar time. In fact, it's out the same date as Gotham Knights. And I'm sort of like, you know what? That could actually be a really nice sort of smaller game. I think I'm going to miss the episodic nature. If anyone else wants to shout, I'll come back with some more.
I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is the obvious one.
But that's this year, is it?
No, it's 23.
23.
Oh, okay. Well, I've just wasted 10 minutes talking about games that are out this year.
Oh.
And we didn't stop you either.
No, we didn't. We were just like, oh yeah, I guess that's
I misread and misheard it. 2023.
Yeah, next year.
Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, even I am interested, very, very interested to see what comes of that. And I know.
No, but I think it is important, because I think whilst I think you are wrong in a lot of what you say about Breath of the Wild, I do think some of the things some of your gripes that you've dialed up to 11 to get this really weird perspective are shared by quite a few people, like the dungeon, like the breakable weapons stuff. So it'd be really interesting to see whether they just do what I think Nintendo will do and go, fuck it, this is what we're doing, or whether they will how much they will change. There'll definitely be innovation there, but how much of that type of stuff does change? Because it is a sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's not just a new Zelda game. Right, and that is important. So it'll be interesting to see what sticks and what doesn't. So that's an interesting one. Pikmin 4.
Yeah, I mean, I could go Captain Obvious and say Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
But like, I could also go Captain Not Obvious and say, well, no, Dead Space is a big one for me. But I'm quite looking forward to Forspoken, because I think they've taken enough time in terms of delaying that now that they.
You would hope, wouldn't you, that it's going to be. I mean, it's dangerous because sometimes talk about this at Game of the Year, isn't it? But yeah, I do think with that game, well, it's more if it is average, that's quite bad for the delays that it's had.
Starfield.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, I'm really, really up.
Diablo 4 is probably got to be next year, right?
I think so.
Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime Trilogy.
I tell you what, I'll jump on a grenade for everyone. I'm going to say one game that I'm dying to play and that I'm absolutely certain will be a home run, and I'm going to say one that I'm really cautiously interested in, and it's going to be me jumping on a hand grenade for everyone. Okay, so the game I can't wait to play: Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah. Oh yes.
But on the other hand, I am also genuinely wondering if they could make a good game out of this: Hogwarts Legacy. Because it's been promoted quite a lot.
It could. It really could.
There's something about it. Every time I see it,
I think I think what's interesting about Hogwarts Legacy is it felt like it was coming and they'd shown nothing. So everyone was like, oh God, this is going to be shit. And then they delayed it ages and have showed loads. And it now feels like it's kind of a bit more of a
it shouldn't this be out by now?
exciting, epic thing. Yeah.
Well, I just, there's something... Do you know when you play a game and you're like, this is a really good game, but visually, it just feels like it's not quite that big budget you think it is? That's the vibe I'm getting off it. Like, I feel like it could play well, but there's just something about it. I'm like,
what I worry. It's difficult how to say this. What you worry about is when I watch what they've shown, is my mind jumping to assuming it's this epic thing, or actually, it's not going to be that, and I'm going to be disappointed. I don't know. I mean, I'm not the target audience for this. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but
I was. But I find it very difficult to be now. I think everyone finds it difficult to be now.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get into that.
It?
It's my birthday. Let's not. Let's not. Please, let's not talk about that today. But no, you're right.
I've got one more I want to shout, and that is we mentioned Chrono Trigger before, so I want to mention Sea of Stars, which seems to basically be the modern equivalent of Chrono Trigger. Like I think it's even got one of the. They're doing one of the guys who did the music on Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross or something's doing some of the music for it, and it just I think I got to preview it, hands off preview it like almost a year ago now, and it just looked so good. So
will Spider-Man 2 not be next year?
I think it's supposed to be. Yeah,
in theory, I would have thought because Sony will need some biggies, and we know about a few of them. Pardon? That was like 2025 or something.
Okay, right. Yeah. So if it's not, because if Wolverine's the year after,
although it makes you wonder, because now there's stuff with Ryan Reynolds saying, "Oh, we're going to do Deadpool 3 and Wolverine, Logan."
Yeah. Well, that's why. Because I wonder if that will change things. But
I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking, what are Xbox going to put out next year?
We don't know. So
Starfield.
Aside that, I mean, Stalker's. There's lots of rumors going on about Stalker at the moment.
Redfall.
Yeah.
I worry about that.
Out. No, that will come out, but
it will. But
Hellblade 2. Is that ever happening?
Surely
that's
next
got
year.
to come out. Yeah,
right.
That I'm actually excited for.
Yeah.
Redfall, I'm like, I was, and I just as time goes on, I feel my excitement waning.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, if we're talking about games that surely are coming out, is Hollow Knight Silk Songs next year, right? Yeah, it's probably happening.
People can't keep betting on it on the league.
Yeah, totally. It gets bet on every time. I think it was included in Xboxes, and all these games are coming in the next year after this presentation.
You're right,
the free one.
Yeah, it was.
So I guess they're thinking it's going to be somewhere in that sort of first half of next year, which hopefully means it's at least in the second half of next year, right? Maybe, probably.
You'd think.
Yeah, but
okay. Real contentious question next. How many seasons of Breath of the Wild will there be, and why? One, because he's a cunt. No, sorry, right. So,
I think it's a fair answer. Come on,
as a brief summary, no. So, I mean, we are taking a break from it. We've agreed that. We don't know if we'll come back to it, or whether it'll be in 100% the same guise as it is if we do. But we are taking a break and doing the retro cast, so it's not like we're going to go back to back. Why? Well, I'll end up killing him if we keep going. And we need a break. I think absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's my opinion too. Yes. So I kind of how I envision it is like if we sort of did a short-ish season every year, and then there's always something new I can bring up that I know you love and upset you, then it kind of works. Like we do, like I wait until after Game of the Year time. I sort of plan like my five games that will really upset you, and then we do some retro cast in between, or other fun projects, and then I sneak up every year and just sort of there's a little period of time of Chris's life every year where he's really upset at me, and that's my dream for it. Personally,
I don't need to get involved. I think we overshot with 10 episodes. We should have done it 6, and that will be something to learn. Should we come back to it? I think is the other thing.
But it's been great.
But please listen to episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Well, we probably should record episode 10 then.
Probably.
Not today. It's his birthday.
Oh, imagine though.
I'd be like,
no, I don't. Do you know? I woke up this morning and I'd forgotten that I'd scheduled episode 9 for then.
Oh, had you? I thought you just planned.
No, I had done it on purpose. Back then, I'd looked ahead and gone, when should we publish this? Because this one's going to... We did Behind the Curtain, we did 2 one day. And I thought, his birthday, that will be funny. Like you said, there's always a little bit more going on than... And then when I saw it pop up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm quite funny.
I listened to it. I got so angry. I love it. I love the ones
I
where
myself
I get
on
really
the back,
angry.
like, yeah, that's well done, mate. Well done.
McPoo's got another question. My question is simply videogamies.
Is that how you say it, or is it video?
Well, that's how I keep saying it now. When we say it's one word,
video games. I've never seen that word before.
Yeah, I think it's videogames.
I assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
there's any.
Yeah.
Like the
Anyway.
popular phrase.
Cool.
Video games.
He's still trying.
Video games.
I think it's videogamies.
Must be. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Can't answer that. Can't help you.
No, never played one. That's for sure.
Oh,
Anyway.
they think you play.
Oh, I guess. Sounds like it.
Nike G has got a question. Got a couple actually. It says, are there any game series you think get to 500 sequels? Obviously in celebration of
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, FIFA,
Yeah, definitely. FIFA, Call of Duty.
surely Mario.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be all long dead, but yeah.
It depends how many.
And I hope we'd be long dead with Call of Duty getting to 500.
Yeah, fair.
I don't think there's any games that have enough spin-offs that they're quite at 500 yet, right? I can't think of any.
No, Mario must have a fair few in terms of total spin-offs, not in terms of the series,
Sequels.
but in spin-offs.
But yeah,
He's asking about sequels.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, something. Maybe it's just like the world's a ball of fire by then, though. Like, let's not just to
Happy
brighten up
birthday.
the birthday again.
Yeah, it's like let's hope COD 499.
Yeah,
and then the natural decay of the universe means we never get to 500.
the heat death of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can Adam think about his favourite moment from 500 podcasts? You have to have an answer for this. I'm not letting you go now. I don't want to do it.
It's not that I don't want to. It's that I can't remember jack shit. I remember an episode where I pretended to flop my knob out and I did a thud on the table, and I think that might have been
punched it.
No, not the table to make it sound for the podcast I'd absolutely flopped a beast out, and I think that might have been the same episode I dropped the water all over myself.
Because
I think that.
The one that comes to mind for me, it was when I was a listener. You know, when I was the hazy, just dreaming of being on the podcast, getting a chance to talk to these cool
James
people.
Gurnlist, as they call him.
Yes, and I remember it was definitely you. I think it was Adam Carroll, Chris White, and Nicola. I think, and you were all doing, let's just say, non-PC
accents,
and it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I remember laughing at
that quite a lot as a listener too. Back in those days.
Adam Carroll, I think, in particular, had some gems that always used to make me laugh on the way to work. So that's the one that comes to my head. I can't remember how you got to it, but I think
the thing is for me is genuinely it's like doing the podcast is like being down the pub with your mates, and I don't often remember a lot about them because you just talk so much and you shoot the shit so much, and it's so natural that you don't then think back. Like there's some. We had some there was a little period where we had people do like, hey, it's so-and-so, the voice actor, welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, and blah, blah, blah. And then it started off. And we had like, I recall we had the voice actor who did Baird from Gears of War. And that stands out as one of those kind of like, one of those moments where you're like, that's cool. I mean, we actually had the voice actor for Duke Nukem do it as well. But like, which for me, because being older, if you know what I mean, that was like a game I loved, Duke Nukem. So, but like, there's some of those were like almost moments where it felt so legitimate what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? And I think that they stand out a little bit. And there's certain guests we've had on that I feel proud that we've had them on, and certain, you know,
like Lyle.
Yeah, like when I guessed, it's a very sparing guest.
It's difficult because I think when you try and organise like hey, do you want to come on our podcast? I think people think you just want to interview them, but like that's not what I find gets the best out of people. Like I want people to come and talk about games they love, and we'll hey, well, hang on, you make a game, so how does this affect? And I want it to be that natural thing. Like people, sometimes I find that with interviews that people are thrown by, like I haven't got a notepad with 20 questions on. I might have points I want to hit. But I always feel the best thing about podcasts and interviewing people is to just, look, I'm not here to fucking do a hit job on you. I just want you. Just be natural. Just be you. That's what this is. It doesn't work. This doesn't work for me if someone's on and like, oh, well, we're not talking about that. It don't come on. Don't be here. Don't be here. That's not what this is for me.
Yeah, I remember when I started on the pod and when I can't remember how long I've been on it when we did the Last of Us 2 spoiler cast as well. I remember thinking, right, I've got to make sure I say some stuff and feel like I'm contributing and stuff. And you almost like overthink it and you're in a danger of becoming unnatural. And actually what I think some of the best contributions are when you're just being yourself and being.
You forget you're being recorded, really.
Yeah, exactly. For better or worse, you forget that it's live or you're being recorded because it's just natural. It's what you think in the moment. It's your natural reactions. And I always find then when I listen to it back, it's like it's just you can tell it's just natural and it's enjoyable. It's not like I messed up there. It doesn't matter. It was real, and it was So I just remember how
the podcast I wanted to listen to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't find it interesting to have guests on who are just like, well, I've got nothing to say and I'm going to be on PR all the time. So that's cool. We can do something else, but not this. We're not doing this because this doesn't work. Like when you have people on and they just love games and you're like, well, it's really obvious. I don't need to ask why you got into development. It's because you love games. I can hear that. That's what I want. I want to hear people enthuse. And even if it's talking about something they hate, I just want to hear I just want it to fucking matter.
Yeah.
So anytime there's been a bit of a podcast where like it felt like it mattered, I guess, or when you just felt like you're properly hitting the stride, that would be it for me. Lyle, I don't know if you've got any moments. Chris and
I personally, when I got to do my first Game of the Year podcasts, I just thought that was kind of like this big thing because I've been listening to them for ages and in terms of for podcasts, what I listen to fucking loads of podcasts all the time. I'm always listening to a podcast if I'm doing anything out of the house or slightly menial. So the Game of the Year podcasts before I was on the show, I'd have them there'd be times in my life where it was to do with moving house or having a really shit job to have to do or having to go on loads of trains or to go to some sort of job seekers benefit shit or something like that, and I'd always have a podcast on the way. And if I'd run out of podcasts, I'd always just be I'd listen to everything. I'd always just re-download one of the God is a Geek Game of the Year ones, and I'd just be well, I'll listen to the 2016s again. I think that's a good one. I'll listen to 2017s again. And there'd been times where it'd been I'd had a really shit day, and I'd just still be there laughing and being this is such a good thing to listen to. So when I got to be on my first Game of the Year podcast, I was shit, I'm on this. This is that thing that has been a big part of my life, realistically, a very helpful part of my life. So I was yeah, that's.
Do you know what? You've kind of just. I don't want to bring anyone down, and I want to get into it. I will say there is a message I got off of someone relating to the podcast, and they're probably. I know they're still a listener, but they're probably listening now. And I will say that the moment I got this, and I'm not going to say what it was, I haven't got it kept anywhere, I'm not that kind of dude, it just went in and it was where someone told me how much it meant to them was the moment that I realised, even if, and I've not hit this point yet, but even if it's I just don't want to do this anymore. Tough shit. Because that one message that I got at that time, and this is years ago, fucking years ago now, the person probably won't even remember, but that message cemented in time. It's everything about life is knock-on effects. The way you're rude to a waitress and she hits her kid or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? The knock-on. Do you know what I mean? The knock-on effect. My thing has always been: don't make your shitty day someone else's shitty day.
Okay.
Don't bring that to someone else. It doesn't need to happen. They don't need to hear it. They don't need to be made to feel shit. And you don't know the effect you are having on other people. And that's what life is. It's always that. We're always interacting with one another. The whole world revolves around interacting with people in a certain way. And if you can just be nice, that, I believe, is like it's almost like a sound wave spreading. Do you know what I mean? And like, don't make your shit time someone else's shit time, because there's enough of that. And just try and remember that the effect you can have on other people just by telling a shit joke that makes them smirk, or making a fool of yourself. Don't be so sort of up your own arse that you can't make a fool of yourself and laugh at yourself, and because someone else will smirk, and all of a sudden their days started off a bit. You know, I was a postman for nearly 20 years, and I would listen to podcasts like Lala's, like, all the time, and like, those people, they meant something to me. Not all of them, but some of them I connected with in a way that, like, they mean something to me. Like, that connection is like, that's the moment. That's the moment. I remember getting a message where I was like, I didn't realise this podcast mattered to anyone but me. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was almost doing it because I like chatting to my mates and talking about games. And also, you're supposed to do a podcast. You're a video game website. And it was like, that was the moment I realised that even if I really get sick of it, I can take a week off, I can take 2 weeks off, but the podcast must continue because it means something to someone. So there you go. Yeah. That's the moment.
It's a good moment.
It is a great moment. What's your favourite bit of video game tapped? Preferably owned, but not owned is fine as well.
Can I answer this first? Because I want to just bring the mood straight back in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said not, preferably owned, but not owned. For me, it's the one bit of like video gaming tap I never got sent. The Saints Row dildo bat. I would have it along that shelf. I would have it along that shelf, just laying there, and have every podcast demonetized for it. That's mine. I don't own it. It's genuinely not in here, but that's the one for me.
I mean, it's a tough one. The ones. It's always the weird ones that I always think of when it's like this. I don't own them. I'll come on to a really random little, really pointless one that I do own that I sadly quite like. But what was that one with like the severed body?
Dead Island.
Dead Island.
Oh yeah.
It was like a torso, a bloody torso. Weird,
severed torso. You had the Resi 4 chainsaw.
I got gas mask down there.
You've got gas mask.
I think it was Chernobylite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember that unboxing.
It's Sean boxing, please.
Sean boxing. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. So it's always you just think it's the ones where you think, was that a good idea?
When they sent Chris White the body bag, that sticks out for me. What was that for? That might have been cereal cleaner. Was that?
Recently, then?
No, that cereal cleaners is the new one. Cereal cleaner came out like 20. I don't know, but yeah, they sent him a body bag. I haven't unboxed it yet, but this one looks pretty fascinating to me. Saturnalia. I don't think that's going to work. I've got a light on it.
No,
there's some sort of mask there, isn't there?
Yeah, a mask or something.
Yeah, I haven't unboxed that yet. It only just arrived, so. But that's a game that's out soon. So there's your. There
you go.
Promo.
Worked.
In terms of something I do own, I will say it's shit, and you'll be like, "You're such a little knob." But like I actually have. I have a little. I can't remember where I got it. I don't know if it's like free in a magazine or something, but I've always kept it. And I'm sure my wife wants me to get rid of it. But like, it's this little, tiny little chest. I think it's for holding DS games, and then you put like 3 in it, and you open up. It's Zelda. So you open up the chest, and it goes. You probably got it because you.
No, I haven't, but I would have it.
Yeah. And every now and then I'll see it on the shelf. It's upstairs. I'm just like, yeah, like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And I'll never check it out. I don't think I will. Like, because
I got one of them for Pokemon, but it's just a Pokeball. It doesn't make any noise. You just press the button, and there's like DS slots.
Yeah. Such a little knob.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not the first time I've been told that.
No.
Carry on. Have you got anything? Do you own anything like that you're like?
He's got the bongos behind him, man. I mean, that's
the bongo. I mean, I'm well jealous of the bongos. I love the bongos.
The bongos are great. I mean, I can't think of any like that I don't have that I actually I have one that I don't have that I desperately want for ages, and it broke in like a couple of house moves ago, but like quite recently, and it was that big bust of Duke Nukem's head. Like the big porcelain, like about that big. I think it came with Duke Nukem Forever. And I think someone I knew saw it in like game for about £5 in some like bin of shit they couldn't get rid of. And
I'd pay £5 for that.
Yeah, totally. And they bought it and was like, "You'll want this. You like video games, and this looks stupid." And I had it like proudly up on a shelf for ages because it was stupid, and it broke in a move. So I don't have that anymore, and I'd like it again, please. Things I actually do have. I mean, I've got a few things on my shelf there of like random bits.
I'll switch the camera to that. I can see some. Is that
Pac-Man?
Paimon? There's Pac-Man on there, but there's Genshin Impact stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some Genshin Impact stuff.
I can see a Pikachu.
There's a Pikachu wallet that I won from like a Blackpool arcade.
Fuck me, is that a combi?
Yeah, it is combi on top. I just
spotted that. All the time you've been in that room, I'd never noticed it. What is that? Is that just a figurine?
It's a little like plushy thing. It
looks like a little mod. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's a good one actually. Yeah. That's the one I'll say. But I've got a few little bits here and there. A few bits from being big press man. Like there was for Dusk Divers 2, they sent a ramen bowl thing that was like this massive, like a mug that was like it was a mug that was basically bowl sized, and it came with like some posh like ramen stuff and chopsticks and stuff. And now anytime I have ramen, I have it in this big bowl that's like of this bear's head and is quite ornate and awesome. And I like stuff like that. Just the little things that I'm just like, I can't believe I've got this. It's for a game that I might not have even thought about, but it's really cool and it makes me remember playing it. And it's just a nice little thing to have.
Didn't you get some cocktails or something?
Oh, I did, yeah, for Soul Hackers.
Lit up. Was it Soul Hackers? And they lit up.
Yeah, Soul Hackers 2 recently. I got it's just a little like neon blue sort of like plastic cup, but it came with some ice cubes, like fake ice cubes that when they make contact with the water, they like start glowing different rainbow colors. And then it came with this kit with loads of like really posh ingredients to make a mocktail that was based on one of the characters, I think, and it was really cool. That was very nice.
I had to turn down an offer like that the other day when I was offered someone wanted to send some Captain Morgans in the post.
Oh,
and that was a difficult one to turn down. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll bet.
I was like, I do like it, because it wasn't a case of like, oh, free booze. It was like, I actually drink that. But the thing is, the one I nearly replied like, only if you can get them to bring back the cinnamon one. But because it's
leverage.
Yeah.
You only get to send me free booze if you bring back.
Exactly, yeah.
That's just one source. Yeah. It's all tat at the end of the day, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's good tat though.
You know, I quite like this. I didn't know until recently is that if you connect that via USB, I'll just put myself full screen for a minute. If you plug that in via USB on the side, it stays on the clock. But unfortunately, because of the shape of it, I'm holding up for those not watching, I'm holding up a Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch that they released, not the Zelda one. And I like that as a clock. I'd love to have that, like, if you're watching sort of in the background as a Mr. YouTuber with his clock. But it's really awkward to get to stay upright, so...
Oh, I missed my most useful one that I have, which also came with Soul Hackers. They gave me it's a little base and then like a vinyl like clear thing that just says Soul Hackers, and then it has LEDs on the bottom and a little controller so you can light it up in different colors. And that has become the most useful thing in my house out of nowhere, because the pigeons don't like it when it's too dark. So I have plugged in and on overnight, because it uses such a tiny amount of power, this little Soul Hackers nightlight for them. And I think that's amazing. That's great. No one else in the world is using a Soul Hackers 2 light for pigeons.
Pigeon nightlight.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. Go on, Chris. What's the last one? Bring us
final question. I think it's quite a fitting final question. Matt King asks, with episode 500 out of the way, does the team have any big plans for episode 1000? Obviously, we haven't planned that far ahead, but are there any?
We didn't have any plans for episode 500 about a week ago.
Plans for 501
I'll say this. Right, I don't know. It's one a week really most of the time. So if we get to episode 1000, I'd be probably a bit disappointed if we weren't doing it somewhere live together in the room, at least, if not in front of people who listen. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe we even like, because you play drums. Maybe Chris White plays guitar, so maybe we could even play the theme tune live. Actually. I mean, that's an awful lot of work just to do a podcast afterwards, like 30 seconds later. But that would be kind of cool.
Definitely should play the listener correspondence theme tune.
Yeah, but I didn't write that and record it, so I can't do that myself. Whereas
you have got another 10 years to worry about that.
Yeah, I suppose
maybe there'll be a new tune by then. In 10
maybe
years'
there'll
time.
be option 4.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, but you guys, what's the big plans? What would you like?
I mean, I'm still doing it. Don't want it to lose its heart. It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, like you said, there's been lots of faces on the podcast over the first, I guess, 500-ish. Be interesting to see what those new. I'm sure there'll be some new faces in the future, like the next wave and welcoming new faces to the podcast.
Not. I really hope not.
You don't want anyone else?
No. I've met enough people now.
That's fine.
Well,
I found the best ones.
I'm comfortable, and comfort in age is nice. You'll learn. You're only 39 this year. Well, trust me. Once you get to 40, it all changes.
Once you get to 40, like, fuck everyone. I hate them.
A little bit. Like, I've been surprising my wife lately because, like, I pulled out of a junction and she goes, "Oh, that was a bit sweaty." I'm like, "Fuck them," and she's like laughing. I'm like, "Nah, fuck them." Amount of people that treat me like shit, fuck them. Like, it's about time.
I can't wait until this time.
Come on,
Lyle,
bring it up, Lyle. Come on, please.
Okay,
it's the last question.
Episode 1000. Okay, big plans. I got this. I'll have the best Hawaiian shirt I've ever had on a podcast. I want there to be balloons in the background. I thought about getting balloons for this episode.
I nearly wore a suit, I must admit. I thought about it.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered.
I'll full Hawaiian shirt-based suit, then
nipple clamps underneath?
They're always underneath.
I will say, it does. This is crap for people not watching video. It does look like Lyle's got blue nipples today.
Oh,
I wasn't going to mention it, but we've gone back to the nipple thing.
I mean, I'm not sure why they're over there, but I mean,
quite,
that's
like lopsided.
Positionally, they're confusing.
Yeah,
but they are
positionally
quite
confusing.
Once you see it, you'll never unsee my blue nipples.
No, that's it now. I'm trying to work out what that actually is now.
Yeah, I've been wondering.
I think it's an oran berry, the blue berries from.
Why are they not on all the other bits of Bulbasaur?
Because Bulbasaur's doing different things in all.
Oh, we need to move on. I can't just be looking at Lyle's nipples.
Staring at my blue nipples. Right. No. Yeah, but I'll still be here. I'm not going anywhere. Episode 1000, unless I'm dead, I guess. But I won't
just be you.
Oh, that's fine. If it has to just be me, if everyone else has gone, but the God is a Geek podcast could still exist, I'll do it one person for like the next 10 years to get to 1000.
Right, jingle time. I clicked the wrong thing. I've just started playing the Resident Evil DLC B-roll instead. So I mean that looks good. It looks great, but that was not what I meant to click. So I'll click the right thing.
After 500 episodes, you'd be better at this than you are.
Layers. He's always one joke ahead.
Onion of comedy. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
I mean, I don't really know even how we got there because, like, we haven't talked about this week. But anyway, that it's neither here nor there. Thank you very much for being part of our 500th episode. Both Chris and Lyle, obviously, and the people who are listening or watching or whatever. Really appreciate it. I'm not going to go into some sort of sappy thing. I've done that already, I think, more than enough. Thank you very much for listening. Go to patreon.com. That's the important part here. Do subscribe. Do hit the bell button. Make sure that if you're just listening, you maybe go onto godisageek.com and say, well, I've been listening to these guys for years and I've never looked at the website. Go and have a look. That would help us enormously. As would going to patreon.com/godisageek and helping us out there. Even if it's £1 a month, trust me, of all people, I know how tough it is. But entertainment is, I think about like the pandemic and stuff, and think about how much like comedy shows helped me through it and games helped me through it. So I don't actually always feel that bad saying, hey, give us £1 a month. I don't feel that bad because I would have given more than £1 a month for what got me through some tough times. So again, Chris as well, mate, happy birthday. We love you.
Thanks, mate.
And Lyle does. He does. We can break the fourth wall. It's all for entertainment purposes. We love you. It's he's one of my very best friends, if not my best friend, and I think the world should celebrate Chris Hyde. in the same way that other royalty is celebrated.
Yes.
And on that note, we will speak to you next week. Probably. Or if not, whenever you should listen. But otherwise, there's 500 of the other fuckers to go and listen to. Knock yourself out. See you later. And by the way, don't overanalyze this and think that because I said the outro differently and then played the music and came back and did this, that it means we're not doing a podcast ever again. I was just trying to change things up. Seriously. Okay? Bye for now. No, actually, thinking about it, like I should probably do it properly because people will talk, won't they? If I don't do it properly. I mean, we're still live. So should I just... We'll see you next week or whenever you choose to listen.
Mate, I don't know what's going on!